listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Mastering pie charts for IELTS Academic Task 1. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington, and in this tutorial we're going to have a brief look at pie charts. Because it's a brief tutorial, you're going to get an overview, and it's going to be very practical, very valuable. So I recommend you grab a pen and take notes. Now, if you're still struggling after this tutorial, then have a look at our Academic Task 1 course. In there, we go into detail and we give you strategies on what data to select and how to group the data. You know, these key criteria you need to meet in order to score high for Academic Task 1. Now, before we start, let me just give you an overview. We're going to look at grammatical structures, grouping information, comparing data points. I'll give you a few pointers, a little bit of advice on how to improve your skills. We'll have a look at an example, and I'll give you some resources where you can dive into this if you want, to go further. Before we start, let me just tell you who I am. My name is Ben Worthington. I'm from England, and around 20 years ago, I moved abroad. I became an English teacher, and after a while, I was frustrated because I had so many different students. I had business students, I had teenagers, I had little whippersnappers, as they're called, little kids. And although I enjoyed most of them, the ones that I got the most joy from were the IELTS students, because they were motivated, they were going places, they were ambitious. And I remember one class I was struggling to teach this one student I had. And then that's what gave birth to IELTS Podcast, because I was like, I've got to master this skill. So I remember I was so frustrated, I was so annoyed. It just wasn't making any sense. So I started researching, started asking other tutors, and then eventually I recorded these interviews and we got to IELTS Podcast. I tested what worked with my students, and if it worked, it went into the online course. And here we are today, and we're now going to a new stage where we're focusing on helping students passing fast. And we're doing this because nowadays, with all this new technology, it would be a shame, it would be a crime, it would be silly to carry on using information when most of the smart students nowadays and smart tutors are using tools rather than information. And that's what prompted us to move forward with our AI essay checking site, where you can get your essay corrected free and get free feedback on there. And you need this, to improve faster, when you can't wait for your results, when you need to quickly identify what's going wrong, when you've got that wave of motivation and you just want to focus on IELTS for the weekend, then you need this AI essay checker. So go to IELTSPodcast.com. You'll be able to sign up there and you'll get free access. And you'll also get some tutorials on how to use the checker and, how to improve your score even further. Right then, let's jump into it. Mastering pie charts. Let's have a look at some of the grammatical structures. You need a solid grip on these. Now, obviously, the tense or the structure or the tense you use is going to be dictated by the chart. A lot of students are like, hang on a second, it's written in the past, or then it's written in the present. I wouldn't worry about that too much. However, if the chart is like a prediction, then you need to be aware. Yeah, you need to be aware. For example, you need to put is predicted to be 30%. You can't say was 30%. That's a clear error, which is going to cost you points. Other than that, if there's no date there, you can use the present, and you could possibly even use the past as well. You would have to be careful though. So if we're going to be changing with the tenses, we need to have a good grip. So we got the present simple, obviously. Category A accounts for 25% of the total. Present perfect, we will use this maybe if we've got two charts, one from 2020 and the other from 2023. And if they're both showing, I don't know, like wheat production, global wheat production in 2020 and in 2023, and there has been a change, for example, then we could say the proportion of wheat from America has increased over the 3-year period from 20% in 2022 to 30% in 2023. Present perfect. Now, there are two grammatical structures you absolutely have to master for Academic Task 1. And I strongly recommend you master these regardless of Academic Task 1 anyway, because they're going to be very valuable for Writing Task 2. If you can incorporate these in Academic Task 1 and Writing Task 2, it's going to help you significantly. The first one is comparatives. Category C is larger than Category D. Now, it's not only essential for Academic Task 1, but as I said, it's a useful grammatical structure for Writing Task 2 as well. Maybe you're comparing two different opinions, or maybe you've got advantage, disadvantage. Either way, it's one of these grammatical skills that you can learn and use it in both of the Task 1 and Task 2, probably even in the speaking as well. Superlatives is also on this list. Superlatives are essential. Now, in the Speaking Confidence course we have, which you can get for free when you join the AISA Checker and upgrade to the course, we'll also include that at the moment anyway. But the superlatives is a fantastic structure. It's essential. If you're going to go anywhere, if you're going to go for Band 7, 8 or 9 in Academic Task 1, you absolutely need the superlatives. And again, it's dual use and even triple use, because you can use it in the speaking. Where are you from? Or describe your hometown. Well, my hometown is one of the smallest villages in England, for example, or it's one of the most enjoyable cities, I believe, in my country. Just random examples there. So superlatives, they will add colour to your speech. They will add emphasis to Writing Task 2. For example, pollution is one of the most serious issues the West is facing in 2023. Water shortages are one of the most serious issues the developing world, or the East or the South, whatever, is facing in 2023, for example. And then obviously, with regards to pie charts, Category E is the smallest segment. Now, one final reason why you need superlatives, because in the criteria you are grouping and you are summarizing, and you cannot make a summary without mentioning the extremes of the chart. Now, the extremes might be the smallest, the largest segments, or the smallest segments. Might be the most dramatic climb during 1999, for example, if you're looking at a line chart. So this is why it's essential. Moving on. I got overly excited there by comparatives and superlatives. Passive voice. A total of 60% is represented by categories F and G. Another useful structure you're going to want to use also in your task 2. And it's also useful for grouping. If you've got two groups and you want to put them together and you want to include a new grammatical structure, well, this is your boy. This is the one. Passive voice. Modals. Again, one of these grammatical structures we want to include. Category H could be the most significant in the future. Yeah. Category G could be the largest of the group. Yeah. Assuming, we don't exactly know the figures there, because sometimes they just give you the chart and they don't put the numbers on. So just be careful with that one. Okay. Percentages. Category 1 makes up 15% of the pie chart. Again, if you're scoring band 7, if you're aiming for 7, 8 or 9, you want a good grasp on your percentages, not only numerically, mathematically, but also the grammar structure. Increased by 5% is not the same as increased to 5% or increased. There's small differences there that you need to know, both mathematically and grammatically. Again, for pie charts, obviously, we want a good grasp of fractions. In the course, we talk about fancy sentences that help you boost your score. But before you get there, you need to have a solid grasp of fractions. 50% is a half, 33% is a third, and so on and so forth. Proportions. Again, this is more or less like the written or the non-mathematical version of fractions. As I just said, a half is 50%, 25% is a quarter. These are useful features to introduce some variety in your language, in your Academic Task 1 report. Final one, linking words. While category L is the largest, category M is the smallest. Very useful. I've got a little comparison in there as well. Another linking word could be whereas, and then category C is probably the smallest. Lots of different varieties there available. Lots of features for you to include in the next pie chart description you write. Again, as I said before, choosing and grouping relevant information is key to giving the examiner a coherent overview of your pie chart. How do we do this? As I said, we identify the largest and the smallest segments first. We group similar sized ones together. Similar sized proportions should be together. Now, obviously, this can get complicated if we've got a pie chart and a bar chart or two pie charts. My advice here is to get it clear what paragraph is going to do what job. Are you going to designate a paragraph to pie chart A and a paragraph to pie chart B? Or are you going to put all the big ones, all the big proportions together of both pie charts in paragraph 1 and all the small proportions, for example, in body paragraph 2? It's your choice. I would go for simplicity, go for the clearest, most logical way. However, if you've got the skills to, mix them and compare them, then go for it. Final, penultimate point. Don't describe every data point. Avoid the list. It's tedious to read and you're ignoring the actual task, which is to summarize, give an overview, to group. So you're not going to get points by listing every single point. Final one. Give an overview of the main trends. Some tutors say do this right at the beginning, just in case you run out of time. That's fine advice. However, hopefully you've practiced enough where you know how to manage your time and you can put it at the end, which for me seems a little bit more logical. But you choose which is best for you. One other thing, when you're giving this overview, if you're struggling with this, a good technique is to squint your eyes or just move your head away from the screen or from the paper and see it at a distance. What jumps out? Which are the biggest proportions from a distance? And that's kind of like the main overview. That's your main summary there. Let's jump into comparing data points now. Now we've got one where we said while, which is very useful. Again, we could use this with the superlatives. While category A accounts for the largest portion, category B is the smallest. Straightforward. Another way we could say is, again with the comparisons, category C is significantly larger than category D, whereas category E is only a small fraction. Very straightforward, very easy. It's easy. By the way, if you are struggling with this, sorry if, I know it might be easy for me to say native English speaker and all. If you are struggling with this, don't worry. I've been there. I've been struggling. I was struggling with Spanish before I joined the Spanish university. I was so stressed. I needed to get my Spanish up to scratch. What worked for me personally was translation after translation after translation. Entire lists. I looked at the translation, then I tried it in English, and then I reviewed it. I did the whole list, then I reviewed them, and then I did the vice versa. I did it the opposite way. And I found this a very effective way to really pinpoint and focus and improve on one single grammar point. And I'm mentioning this because if you are struggling with comparisons, find a list of comparative sentences in English, translate them into your own language, or ideally, you could find the lists already translated and approved. Quizlet could be a good place to start. And then cover one side, translate, cover the other side, translate, and so on. And eventually you will find you get a grip of this structure, of this grammar rule. Another way another example of this could be, whereas category H has seen a steady increase, category I has remained relatively stable. Now what's important here is the consistency. This is especially useful if you're a student who's not so confident of mixing the tenses. You can use this technique and just keep it the same tense all the way through, and it's a much safer way to write your sentence and still get points for grammatical range and accuracy by using a different tense, but just keeping it consistent all the way through. Another example sentence. While most categories have seen growth, category J has experienced a decline. What's interesting about this one is we've grouped, because we said most categories have seen growth. And we've picked up points by just grouping that information together. And also what's interesting is we didn't have to put really a number or a proportion. We could just say category J has experienced a decline. This is the type of sentence you probably want to include in your summary. In your summary, we're not including the details. We're probably not including that many data points. We are summarizing. We're giving an overview. Now then, here's some 5 tips just to help you improve. Obviously, you want to look at using a variety of grammatical structures in your writing. Now, one thing is me saying, use a variety of grammatical structures. And you're like, thanks, Ben. I never knew to do that. I was going to write it all in the past simple. And I hate it. It drives me mad when tutors say this. Use a variety of grammatical structures. To improve, practice. Thanks. I never thought of practicing to get better. Thanks for that advice. I was just going to go swimming. Like, come on, no. This is why I always try to strive to give you some, practical advice that you can use, that you can implement. So how would you include a variety of grammatical structures? Well, you could look at model essays and identify them. Then you could put them into your translation list, and you could work on mastering them. You could use the AI essay checker to find which ones you're struggling with, and then you only have to work on those ones, and you've saved some time. Some other tips to improve. You need to learn how to paraphrase. right now at the moment there are 1,000,001 paraphrasing tools. And again, if you're struggling with this, find a sentence that you want to paraphrase, find some model essays, find some essay questions, put it into the paraphrasing tool, and then put it onto your translation booklet. And you could paraphrase it a number of different ways. I think soon we'll be producing another tutorial all about paraphrasing, because it is quite a valuable skill to master. Again, another tip: use appropriate synonyms for keywords. This will help you show your lexical resource skills, your vocabulary skills. Now, there's two ways to go about this. One, you can, put your essay into the essay checker tool, and when you upgrade, you're going to get a list of synonyms, suggestions to help you improve, especially if you're using the same ones. So that's one way to move forward with this. Another way is the thesaurus, which will probably help you find some words you wouldn't have thought of. This could be a little bit dangerous, especially in the past, because you'd have to wait to get some feedback as to whether it is used accurately and effectively and naturally. Nowadays, you can use the essay checker tool that you can find at IELTSPodcast.com. Additionally, you could also use Google, and I think in some cases this could be a little bit more accurate. It is a little bit more time consuming though, and you put your sentence into Google, you try it with synonym 1. If only 200 results come up, then it's off. But if 20 million results come up with the sentence you've used, you're onto a winner, and this is just like a more natural way of finding the use, because even sometimes, I'll admit it, the essay checker sometimes, especially in the free version, doesn't sometimes give the best synonyms. That's one flaw. I mean, that's with the free version. With the premium one, it's like $8 a month, not $12 a month or something USD. You do get more accurate feedback, which, in my opinion, for $12 a month, that's and you submit as many essays as you want. That's ridiculous. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer, as we say in England. Finally, I've already mentioned this, but it's definitely valuable. Review some model answers, and also try and find those model answers with examiners' comments. We've got a few of these published on IELTSPodcast.com, and this will give you an insight as to how to improve your essay. Now, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to share with you. Unfortunately, I won't share with you the model essay, but it is on the tutorial. And when you sign up to our list, you will get the full tutorial in your inbox. And you can also find similar material on our website, IELTSPodcast.com. That's it. I wish you a beautiful day. I wish you a hard-working day. I wish you a productive day, and I really want you to move forward with this IELTS exam. As you heard me say on other podcasts recently, the IELTS is a small hinge. The hinge is that tiny piece of metal that joins the door to the wall, and it's tiny. But look at the movement it produces. It produces that massive swing, the door, the actual arch there, and you've got to think of your IELTS as this little metal hinge, because it's there. I know it might be frustrating for a lot of you, but if you master that, if you get that hinge right, it's going to swing open some massive doors, and it's going to change your life forever. It's going to change the course of your family history. Your parents are in their country, and you've got this opportunity, to probably they didn't even have this opportunity, but you have. You can get to go to England, study there, maybe even stay there. Canada's opening the door. And if you're preparing for IELTS, I imagine you want to jump through that door. There's never been a better time, because of the pandemic. There's a shortage of immigrants across the world. There's a shortage of skilled workers, a shortage of international students. There's never been a better time. You've got tools now that can help you improve faster. And yeah, honestly, all the smart students nowadays are using tools. If you want to join them, go to IELTSPodcast.com, sign up to the newsletter. You'll get access to the essay checker. You'll get a course. You get all this information. Get all this help on how to use the tools that help you to improve your score. Have a super day. Keep moving. Good luck with the exam. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.